Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure once again on the Wayne All Show to introduce my special guest, Mr. Rudy Page. Mr. Rudy Page is the founder and CEO of Making Connections Work, MCW. And he's a very busy man when it comes to things diaspora. He works tirelessly to make connections between the mainland and the diaspora, not just in UK where he's based, but also in other parts of the world, including Africa and the US and Canada. So, Mr. Rudy Page, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Wayne All Show again, sir. How are you?
I'm well and good to see you.
It's always a pleasure, Rudy. And every time I hear your accent, I remember growing up as a kid, and we'd get those Christmas greetings. And it's that time of year. We'd get those Christmas greetings being played in Jamaica from the UK. It never fails to make me have a flashback to that. But let me begin by congratulating you as for being named the chairperson of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council and the Global Jamaica Diaspora Youth Council in the UK. I'm making sure I add that. So I'm going to start by congratulating you on that. That's primarily what we're going to talk about today. But there's so much more about you, Rudy, that I wouldn't mind if you'd take a moment to just share with us a little bit of your background.
Thank you. And I'll just say, of course, emphasize it's the Electoral Committee from which I've been made,
yes.
for which I've been made the chair by the Acting High Commissioner, Patricia Grant, here in the UK.
Awesome.
So by background, I'm a management consultant and I specialize in policy implementation in health systems, community economic development, diaspora affairs, international trade facilitation. I've been doing that for many years. I'm also one of the directors of Fresh FM Radio London, and we are an important digital station as it relates to reggae, soul, R&B, and diaspora affairs. So that's me.
Great. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. When you hear me shouting out Fresh FM Radio London, Mr. Rudy Page and the crew, this is the man I'm shouting out right here. So let's focus on your new appointment, the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council and the Global Jamaica Diaspora Youth Council Electoral Committee. So, what are these? What are these?
Well, these are really bodies that have been set up by the government, Jamaica government, and the with the responsibility of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it's one of the ways in which the diaspora can get involved with Jamaica on a more formal basis, on what we would call an institutional basis, because it's a government recognized body. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs takes the lead, and it's part of Jamaica's a priority in terms of engagement with the diaspora. So many times we will talk about voices being heard, Wayne.
Yes.
So your voice needs to be heard where the decisions are made, where the influence is. And of course, it's the government and the ministries, they're essential in terms of being able to get across the diaspora message. It's a new body, this particular round of elections. This is only the second. So, it's taking time, but I think the direction, I think, is really important, because as it should develop, it will be responsible for the National Diaspora Policy. So Jamaica has already had a draft National Diaspora Policy, which was, I think, tabled at the last Diaspora Conference a couple of years ago now, and which seems to have passed through. So this is part of the process of the engagement from the government, but more importantly, the involvement of the diaspora itself as part of Jamaica's national development planning.
Great. And it's an interesting bridge to a gap to bridge there between
Yeah.
the diaspora and the mainland of Jamaica. And tell us, how vast is the diaspora in the UK in terms of the Jamaican diaspora there? I mean, what does this span for you there?
Well, I guess one of the ways to look at it, we would say the diaspora here in the UK now, we're on 5 generations. So that will give you a sense of, you know, how
Yes.
deep it is. And the importance of the UK anyway, because obviously the legacy of the UK as it relates to Jamaica and the wider Caribbean, of course. So that's significant, because that means here the diaspora here actually has a important voice within the political establishment here on how Jamaica and the wider Caribbean are treated as well. So we do have a significant opportunity, which in fact, to be fair, the Prime Minister Holness a number of years ago spoke about the diaspora diplomacy, which is important. And you of course have the same there in the US. The US, the bilateral relationship between the US and Jamaica. The diaspora in the US have an important point in terms of speaking to the leadership, leaders and decision makers. So yeah, the diaspora is a significant voice here at all levels, and an important voice, and we're now very much focusing on the younger generations and see how we can build sustainable relationships. And we're kind of saying to them now, get involved in this process, learn about what the National Diaspora Policy is, you know, put yourself up for the Electoral Committee and get involved.
Yeah, and I know that this your function here is going to serve mostly on the Electoral Committee, but there's so much to the diaspora, and there in the UK, as you say, 5 generations deep. There's so much to it. What are some of the opportunities here, Rudy? What are some of the opportunities, some of the low-hanging fruit for someone in your position now in terms of policy, in terms of influence on on Jamaica through the diaspora?
I think where it starts first in the diaspora is the relationships within themselves, and you know, starting to get together cohesive bodies, getting people to actually understand what the diaspora agenda is, because of course until you actually understand, well, what is the agenda, what are the policies, what are the processes, how does that translate into program activities that are relevant here but also relevant in Jamaica. So at this point, I would say we're at a great learning opportunity for people, especially those people in the creative industries, international relations, you know, people who want to go out into the world. This is a good time to actually get on that pathway of learning. So access is important. So what's happening now then, Wayne, is an access point. But of course, it's okay to know where the door is, but when you walk in, then where do you go? What's the pathway?
Yeah.
So that's where we are at the moment. And the good thing is that there are people with lived experience willing to share what they've been through, lessons learned, most importantly.
And
so that's where we are.
Yeah. And speaking of lessons learned, Rudy, it's the diaspora can be tricky. It can be tricky to navigate because we have all these different bodies. We have alumni giving back to their schools. We have different charitable organizations taking on projects down there, all independently, not coming through one central body. So we have all these diaspora contributions back to Jamaica, but a lot of them are just scattered and probably would be more effective if they were filtered and just managed a little different. In terms of what the Gjdc and the Gjdc might be doing in the future, think we'll see a little bit of change in that respect?
I definitely think so, because I think what will happen in terms of development, that these bodies will be seen to be the apex of the diaspora involvement. So there'll be, a collaboration at their local levels, their regional, their national levels. And then, then people will be put forward to sit on these councils because they have a balanced view and they will take in, a holistic overall picture, so they won't be swayed by any particular political or economic interests. And I think that that's the road that we're now traveling in terms of representation.
Well, I liking the fact that, there's not that much of a direct political impact, because some of the concerns in the diaspora here, at least, I'm not sure about there in the UK, is what happens if there's a change in government? Are these sustainable measures and groups and organizations that can continue to function without the previous political environment? Are they able to adjust to a new environment, keep going without any serious impact?
Well, the good thing is that it is a government policy, and it is aligned with the national development goals.
Okay.
Which of course, again, is cross-party, it's all civil society, everybody. And of course, the UN, it also aligns with the UN sustainable goals as well. So the whole national development plans for 2030 align with the UN sustainable goals, and the diaspora is an integral part of that delivery.
You have a niche for really making connections work. You couldn't have named what you do any better, Rudy, making connections work. And I've already seen you put your touch on this diaspora environment. You have ads that are not just geared towards the UK. You have ads that can be run because you're really encouraging members of the diaspora in both the US and UK to go out and vote. I'm gonna just have you, you have the platform. Just tell us about your vision and what's in your heart to take this role and implement it. Because I could ask you 100 questions, but really and truly what you want to share is what's in your heart about this role and what you could do with it. So I'm going to say, Rudy, for the next few minutes remaining in this conversation, just share us from your vantage point. Like I said, I've seen you put a spin on it already with ads that are neutral, because you're an influencer. You bridge gaps, and you can't help yourself but making these connections work. So how are you seeing yourself in this role? How will you execute, etc.?
Well, my role as it relates to the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council and the Global Jamaica Diaspora Youth Council will be to facilitate the pathways to involvement. One of the challenges as it relates to any engagement policy from an institution, what underpins it is the building of relationships, and relationships only work when it goes two ways, from those providing the engagement to those receiving. So in other words, the most important part of the National Diaspora Policy from a diaspora perspective is diaspora involvement. So my role is to facilitate the pathways for diaspora involvement across multiple channels and platforms, events and activities. And where somebody may be based across the globe, it doesn't matter, because there's a pathway, there's an institutional pathway that they can follow with the destination Jamaica. So I'm one of those, then I will look at however the resources get to Jamaica, then they're there. That's the most important thing. So destination Jamaica receives them. There will always be challenges out in the diaspora, various interests, regional, national, lots of vested interests. But if the pathway for involvement is clear, and there are no gatekeepers, and that's the most important thing when it comes to technology. My old friend Philip Edward always told me that technology has no gatekeepers. So we continue to use the digital technology, the platforms, the channels, and particularly programs such as this to keep enlightening our community, our communities, to make sure they're informed, reassured by the trusted messengers, as we call them, and then they can make their choice of the pathway to get to destination Jamaica. There's multiple pathways. And in fact, the more pathways we create to making a contribution in Jamaica, the better.
I love it. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rudy Page, newly appointed chairperson of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council and the Global Jamaica Diaspora Youth Council. Rudy, great stuff there. You know, listening to you, you're encompassed pretty much all the challenges that would come with that. One of the things I want to ask you about is in terms of the voting and the electoral process and stuff. What can you shed on that right now? Where are we currently?
Right, it's quite easy, really. If you want to nominate yourself or nominate someone else, or if you just want to vote, then you just go to glojamcouncils.com, glojamcouncils.com, and the website is pretty clear. And at the moment, we're still in the voter registration and nomination period, which will end on the 2nd of January. So there's still time. And the website is pretty clear. It also, on the website, there's a frequently asked questions document on there as well, with about 20 different questions, cover a lot of what people may be interested in. And so just click on the home page. And
that's where my next question was gonna head. How can we access this kind of information? How can we reach a Mr. Rudy Page? All that good stuff. How can we?
Right. So because I'm just responsible for the UK, then if somebody wanted to email me, they can email me at uk.glojamcouncils@gmail.com. But otherwise, there are contact details on the website. So everything really is on the website. So regardless of what region that you're in, whether it's the UK, US, or Canada, you can you can access everybody through the website.
That's right. Rudy, is there anything else that we could add as we congratulate you and just share this awesome information with the wider audience on your new appointment?
I would just like to say, go out and nominate yourself if you feel that you have a heart, you would like to get involved in the Jamaica diaspora movement, that you've been involved in the community, in your local community here, and you feel that you now would like to step up into the global diaspora movement. Then this is a great opportunity, and a good opportunity to learn and to network with some of the other those of us who are already in that domain. We're all happy to share. And I guess my main message, Wayne, really is for the youth council membership, which is 18 to 35-year-old, in terms of really looking for the talent. So again, we're looking for some of the adults to recommend some of the young people. There's lots of young people already doing community development activities. They're in the creative industries, they're in healthcare, they're studying international relations, so they have a sense of what it means to collaborate, and to and to get involved in the community. That kind of talent we also need to you know, at least look at what's going on in the global diaspora movement, and of course the pathways exist for them for Destination Jamaica.
Loving it. Ladies and gentlemen, if anybody's gonna see to this getting done, it's gonna be Mr. Rudy Page. Rudy brings so much experience to this newly appointed position that we're confident that you will make all these connections between the diaspora and Jamaica work. Rudy, again, ladies and gentlemen, he's our contact at Fresh FM Radio, London. You wear so many hats, Rudy. We're going to have to bring you back again in another capacity. We enjoyed a Windrush conversation in the past, and so there's so many opportunities for us to talk some more. But I truly thank you for coming on, taking the time to share with the audience about what is happening there in the UK as far as the diaspora is concerned. And we're excited, man, to see how this will unfold.
Thank you very much. Could I just quickly give out some broad details? So as I mentioned, the end of the voter registration and nomination period is the 2nd of January.
Yes.
On the 5th of January, we publish the final slate of candidates. Okay. And that will be all regions, not just the UK, US, Canada. We're all working to the same campaign period.
Right.
So the actual campaign will run from the 5th to the 10th of January. And then the voting period will run from the 10th right through to the 27th of January. Awesome. On the 30th of January, we certify the election results. And on the 1st of February 2023, we announce the announcement of the election results. And we will be on time.
Says Mr. Rudy Page. All right. I'm loving it, Rudy. Yes. Some structure there and some, putting some fundamentals in place. We want to see the diaspora thrive and be organized and position itself to really deliver for Jamaica, because there are so many opportunities for the diaspora to assist if only we can figure out the best way how. So we're in good hands. We look forward to some great things. And thank you, sir, again for your time today.
Thank you. And good night.